Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converses the channel, thanks for stopping by again. Today I'm doing a bit of a review, my take on a brand new author, not going to be known to pretty much anybody, but this is David Vardeman, and the short story collection that I read is An Angel of Sodom. This is a pocketbook. You see how little it is. This is a pocketbook put out by Press. Press is the small press out of Slovenia that is ran and managed by Rick Harsh, an amazing author. And I'll be reading more Rick Harsh. I have another pocketbook, Arjun and the Good Snake. This is next on my list from Press. But today, David Vardeman takes the center stage. This is very, very cool and has a lot going on in it. I was very, very surprised, and you're not ready for the kind of thing that David Vardeman does with this. First off, we start off with the title story, An Angel of Sodom, and it is a novella, or a novelette even. It's like 100 pages, and all the other stories after that are just short stories right in the pocket, something like 20 pages. Or 20 pages or less. So An Angel of Sodom is a very somber portrait of a pathetic young man named Jackie, who is very, very just like I say, a pathetic type of character. You end up feeling sorry for him in a way, but not really, because he's just so pathetic, right? That kind of character. And it has its funny moments. There's a lot of kind of humor about life to it, but ultimately that story is one of the more somber looks at the human condition in the book. And then we have the short stories there. I was loving it. Pig is a very cool little short story, the take on what it means to be an artist and to embrace your art. And what David Vardeman does, well, we'll get to that a little bit later, like what he does in his stories that I can see. I loved on the origin of the Peroxide Bitches. They're like a punk band. this anti-establishment counterculture punk band that is established just on a whim, called the Peroxide Bitches. It is just giving you a portrait of the origin of this band, and it is completely completely punk rock, you know what I mean? Just totally fun and ridiculous. But by the time you get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a young guy in his career, and Fur Baby is number 8. A young guy in his career is about a young man who decides he wants to be a detective and takes a commission to figure out the origin of a severed finger that was delivered to an old lady. It is hilarious. It is completely hilarious. And then Fur Baby is just absurdity, but I love it. By the time you get to those two stories, then you're like, this is complete comedy. This is complete comedy, and laughing. It's great. And then Tramp on the Street is kind of like an existential short story where you're in a bar with a guy and a bunch of his drinking buddies who are not exactly friends. They're just the people that, help him waste his time every night at the bar. And they have this little band of, of drinking buddies, but they're not exactly friendly and things like that. But he had just lost his mother, like at the beginning of the short story, and it wasn't a surprise. It was going to happen. She was in a very bad state, but that's the subject matter, and it's exploring that, in a very human way, in a state of not knowing what to do, if you should do anything different right then or not, and just existential questions come up, not exactly from the characters themselves, but the reader is put into this kind of existential place where these questions are what are, you're just kind of questioning that. David Vardeman does that in a very, very cool and unexpected way. You don't really see it happening until you're already there. Probably one of my favorite. I mean, I loved the whole end of this, to tell you the truth. Farm Girl is one of the coolest, and I was just really, really interested and maybe it was the culmination of reading everything up to then, right? You know what I mean? But Farm Girl is just an awesome short story, about a younger girl who grows up on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, in Iowa, I believe is where she's at. Family, big farm, no friends to speak of, and she's obsessed with French literature and obsessed with Proust and remembrance of things past. And she wants to move and go to Paris and become a writer. And she has this dream, but she's stuck in a place that is so different, where that is so alien that nobody even understands what she even talks about, doesn't understand her dream at all. And she's willing to go to huge degrees to go after that dream, to very dramatic effect, and it is very, very cool. Probably one of my favorites in the book, top 3, and then the last 2 are amazing. Elvis in Chains. Elvis in Chains is indicative of what David Vardeman does probably the best in this book, in this collection here, which is polite conversation in the midst of horrific setting. Something happening and something is going on that is so off-putting and just wrong, or you're just like, no. But what the characters are doing is, they might be at a dinner party. You know what I mean? They might be at just hanging out and having this kind of polite conversation, maybe even erudite conversation. It is so enjoyable. And then the last story in this is called The Last Evil, and that is a very creepy, very well done, I want to say supernatural horror. It doesn't quite fit the bill. It's hard to pigeonhole these kind of stories in any kind of genre. But The Last Evil is totally worth the wait. I recommend reading this straight through the way that I did, and you will not be disappointed. So what is it that David Vardeman does? It is a thing where you don't really realize so many things are kind of symbolic, and you're just like right there thinking, what does he mean by this? What does that mean? Does this mean something different than what I'm just reading flat on the surface? And before you know it, you're in a place where you're laughing at the absurdity of the situation. There's a very healthy, huge dose of dark humor in this. very dark humor. And these kind of people who are so alienated from their own humanity that they actually are just these kind of I want to say, automatons, like robots that are just like, part of the way you should be in talking and dealing with people, but for the situation that they're in, what they quote unquote should do is anything but what should actually be said or happening at that point. And it is super enjoyable. There's a lot of fun to be had with this book, and I'm gonna I'm gonna get the next. There's a flip book from Coronasamas.press that has two longer works of David Vardeman's in one, and this book right here is I think like 10 on Coronasamas.press website, and the flip book is also 10. So two longer works by David Vardeman for 10. Count me in. It was really really fun, and so I'll give you the back and then we'll be done. An Angel of Sodom includes 13 short stories as well as the short novelette in which a young woman makes a belated acrobatic leap of imagination into her late brother's life. That is talking about the title story, An Angel of Sodom. It is told from this perspective. The young boy, the pathetic young boy, the story is told from the perspective of his sister. So that's why it's saying a young woman makes a belated acrobatic leap of imagination into her late brother's life. The stories are an elusive blend of surreal, hyperreal, and the Beckettian banal. This is David Vardeman's first collection of fiction. David Vardeman was born and raised in Iowa and now lives in Portland, Maine. So there you go. I'll leave the website for Coronasamas in the description box. It was super enjoyable, and I hope you enjoyed this book too. Leave any comments. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you pick it up. I'd love to talk about some of these stories with someone. Thank you. Bye-bye.